If you squint hard enough, you can still see the title hopes Ferrari carried into 2025. They were bold, maybe a little romantic, but not entirely unrealistic. A fresh start, a new design direction, and the arrival of the most successful driver in F1 history. It was the kind of formula that made you believe, even if only for a moment, that the Scuderia could shake off years of almost and finally deliver. Fast forward to now, and the tone has shifted. The talk isn't about catching McLaren, it's about when to stop trying. After just 9 rounds, Ferrari finds itself buried nearly 200 points behind McLaren. That's not a gap, it's a canyon. And it's forced the team to make a call no top-tier outfit ever wants to make mid-season. When do we stop fighting the unwinnable and start preparing for the unknown? That moment, it seems, is now. Reports out of Italy suggest Ferrari is about to hit pause on SF25 development and shift full throttle into Project 678, their codename challenger for 2026, the year that will usher in the biggest shakeup F1 has seen in more than a decade. This isn't just a development pivot, it's a reset. The team is preparing to dedicate all wind tunnel time, simulation resources, and engineering muscle to next year's car. According to Auto Racer, internal work on the current car is close to ending. And by the looks of it, Lewis Hamilton has played a key role in that decision. The 7-time champ made it clear after the Spanish GP he's ready to move on. Soon, he said, he'd be asking the team to put their energy into next year. The way he framed it was telling. Not like a man giving up, but like someone laser-focused on a bigger prize. What's more interesting is how this aligns with Ferrari's internal pressure. A major rear suspension update is still expected for Silverstone, aimed at solving the notorious ride height issue that's plagued the SF25. But after that, it might be the final piece for this car before the chapter closes. Here's where things get even more layered. With the 2025 cars slowly being phased out, attention now turns to the design philosophy of the 2026 machine. The regulations will change everything. Active aero, 50% electrification, fully sustainable fuels. It's the ultimate clean slate. So whose fingerprints will be all over that car? Hamilton has already started positioning himself as the architect of Ferrari's next era. He's framing this season not as a failure, but as a foundational learning process, understanding the tools, the culture, the systems, so that when 2026 arrives, he's not just a driver, he's the blueprint. And while Charles Leclerc has delivered all 3 of Ferrari's podiums this year, he hasn't exactly shut the door on a long-term Hamilton-led project. But make no mistake, this could become a political tug-of-war. As Leclerc said after Barcelona, the front-wing regulation shift was a key point in the season and the moment where decisions would need to be made. Publicly, he's on board. Privately, he'll want a say in how this new car is shaped. Juan Pablo Montoya didn't mince words in a recent interview. If Ferrari want titles, not just wins, he argued the car must be built entirely around Hamilton's preferences. Cars based on Leclerc's preferences may be able to win a race or two, he said, but a world title? That won't happen. It's a harsh assessment, and not necessarily fair to Leclerc, but Montoya's view reflects the high-stakes gamble Ferrari is staring down. You either go all in on the guy who's done it before, or you try to keep both drivers happy and risk ending up with a car that suits neither. When Lewis Hamilton made the bold leap to Ferrari for 2025, the world of Formula One held its breath. This was more than just a transfer, it was a seismic shift. A 7-time world champion swapping the silver of Mercedes for the scarlet red of Maranello. The hype was real, the stakes were sky high, and the message was clear. Hamilton wasn't finished yet. But now, just 9 races into the season, the buzz has cooled. The fairy tale hasn't written itself. And behind the scenes, the pressure may already be pushing Hamilton toward a dramatic decision. Things haven't gone to script. Sure, he bagged a sprint win in Shanghai, proof that the raw pace is still there, but Sundays have been a grind. His best result? P4. No podiums, no real battles for wins. Just a string of races stuck in the midfield shadows, while Charles Leclerc quietly racks up top 3 finishes. Now, one veteran of the paddock says what others are whispering. Hamilton might be thinking about walking away. That man is Derek Warwick, FIA steward, former driver, and someone who's watched generations of F1 greats reach their crossroads. Speaking recently, Warwick didn't sugarcoat it. "I think he's already thinking about stopping," he said bluntly. "You don't go from chasing titles to trailing your teammate and finishing P7 week after week without it getting under your skin." What's made this so hard to watch is that Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari for money or nostalgia. He came for number 8, that elusive final title that would elevate him past Schumacher in the history books. And so far, the car hasn't even come close to delivering. But Warwick's insight cuts deeper than the results. He believes Hamilton underestimated just how difficult the switch would be. New systems, unfamiliar engineers, and, crucially, a car that just doesn't suit his driving style. Even something as subtle as the steering wheel setup can throw off a veteran used to Mercedes' control layout for over a decade. "He's a 7-time world champion," Warwick continued, "but people forget how much of success is built on rhythm and environment. Charles has had years to grow with this team. Lewis is trying to compress that into a few months." There's one part of Warwick's message that's less about critique and more about respect. "I want to see Lewis win again," he said. "He deserves that 8th title. And he's not alone. Across the paddock, from drivers to ex-champions to engineers, there's a collective hope that Hamilton's story doesn't end here, with his career fading out behind the wheel of a car that never quite clicked. His win in China was supposed to be the turning point, a spark, a reminder that the fire still burns. But since then, the Ferrari hasn't given him the tools to build momentum, and the frustration is starting to leak through. Reports say he even apologized to media after a particularly frosty post-race interview in Spain. That's not the Hamilton we're used to. The question now isn't just whether Ferrari can deliver a better car, it's whether they can do it in time to reignite Hamilton's belief that this move was worth it. He's been here before, 2 winless years at Mercedes, so the patience tank isn't bottomless. Meanwhile, in the background, F1's landscape is shifting again. The 2026 regulation reset is coming fast. Ferrari's already hinting at shifting full development focus to next year. Hamilton says he's all for it, but can he wait that long? Or does he reach a point where he simply decides he's had enough? And that's just one storyline bubbling up in a season already packed with drama. There's something brewing at the front of the grid this season, and it's not just another Red Bull walkover. For the first time in years, Max Verstappen has real, relentless pressure. But the twist? It's coming from a kid barely 3 seasons deep into his Formula One career. Oscar Piastri is turning heads, calm under fire, fast when it counts. And after a string of stellar performances, the 24-year-old Aussie is sitting exactly where every driver dreams of, top of the Drivers' Championship. But not everyone is handing him the crown just yet. When Red Bull's notoriously blunt advisor, Helmut Marko, speaks, the paddock listens. He's the guy who helped put Verstappen on the map. He doesn't throw compliments lightly, so when he recently gave Piastri a nod of approval, it was more than just words. It was a marker of where the young Aussie now stands in F1's hierarchy. Piastri learns very quickly, Marko said. He prepares well and is tough when it counts. That's huge coming from the architect of Red Bull's ruthless driver program. But of course, there was a caveat. He's not yet at Max's level. And there it is, the not yet. 2 words that both elevate and challenge. Marko went on to contrast Piastri's approach with that of Lando Norris, calling the Brit more of a trial-and-error player, and pointed out Piastri's cool head under pressure. But make no mistake, in Marko's eyes, Verstappen still sets the bar. That said, if you look at the numbers, Piastri is doing more than just keeping up. He's leading the standings, he's already won 5 races this season, and he hasn't missed a single lap in over a year. That's not luck. That's consistency, control, and a whole lot of raw talent. For perspective, Verstappen had just 2 wins in his first 55 races. Piastri already has 7. Sure, Verstappen started young, 17 to be exact, and had to go up against peak-era Mercedes. But even so, Piastri's trajectory is turning heads across the grid, including in the Red Bull garage. This season's title race has something F1 hasn't seen in a while: genuine tension within a single team. Piastri leads, but right behind him is his own teammate. Lando Norris is just 10 points adrift. That's 1 mechanical DNF, or pit stop fumble, away from a swap at the top. And unlike Red Bull, where everything is built around Verstappen, McLaren's playing it differently. There are no team orders, no designated number one, just two young lions going wheel to wheel, and both have their eyes on the same prize. Team boss Zach Brown made it clear, no early sacrifices. When you've got two drivers first and second in the championship, how do you possibly even consider standing one down into a supporting role? He's got a point, but for how long can that balance hold? Piastri himself has acknowledged that having Lando push him has made him faster, but it's also made things more complicated. You gain something from having each other pushing, he said, but that of course comes with its challenges. Because sooner or later one of them is going to need priority. And when that moment comes, what does McLaren do?